In today's top stories, in France, voices are raising to criticize the recent campaign of disinformation against Algeria by the far right and to condemn the relentlessness of certain parties against Algerians. Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov has said that the solution to the conflict in Western Sahara must be based on the principle of the right to self-determination. Former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has been arrested after a dramatic showdown with law enforcement officials. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Smani. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has chaired a meeting at the headquarters of the Presidency of the Republic devoted to monitoring the progress of preparations for the revision of the association agreement with the European Union. President Abdelmajid Tebboune has received the President of the Movement of Society for Peace, Abdelali Hassani Sharif, with whom he discussed several national and international topics. Let's listen to Mr. Sharif.
It
was a great opportunity to discuss economic and social files in our country and how to reach an economic and social level that preserves food security and public security in the country and to ensure stability and social tranquility. We tackle international files and Algeria's foreign relations amid the current context marked by foreign disinformation attacks as the French extremist lobbies try to deal a blow to Algeria's reputation, in addition to other threats existing on the western border, notably what the Makhzen and other countries are doing. The Palestinian cause was among the points discussed in the meeting. We hope that the war stops. Algeria will keep supporting the Palestinian people until they achieve their goals, God willing.
That was the statement of the President of the Movement of Society for Peace, Abdelali Hassani Sharif, following his meeting with President Abdelmajid Tebboune. Representing the President of the Republic, the Minister of War Veterans, Laïd Rabiga, has left for the Republic of Mozambique to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the President-elect Daniel Francisco Chapo. The Minister of Health, Abdelhaq Saihi, has been received in Kinshasa by the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, as part of his visit as Special Envoy of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. On this occasion, the minister delivered a written message from the President of the Republic to President of the Democratic Republic of Congo in a move that reflects the shared political will to deepen cooperation between the two countries and to strengthen the strategic partnership in the face of regional and international challenges. For his part, the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo hailed Algeria's pioneering role on the African scene as part of its commitment to strengthening solidarity between the countries of the continent, supporting the processes of development, peace and independence of the peoples. The Secretary-General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Lounès Magraman, has received the President of the Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries, Mr. Yang Wenming, who is on an official visit to Algeria. During the meeting, the two officials discussed partnership, friendship, and solidarity relations between the two countries and ways and means to further boost them, notably in the economic and cultural fields in line with outcomes of the state visit paid by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, to the People's Republic of China in July 2023. The Chinese official was also received by the Deputy Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Munder Bouden, with whom he discussed the importance of extending cooperation between Algeria and China to other areas. For his part, Mr. Yang Wenming described Algeria as a country that is a friend of China, underlining the importance of the strategic partnership, which reflects the historical ties and the common interests between the two countries. Now, the Secretary of State to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in charge of African Affairs, Ms. Bakhta Selma Mansouri, has held talks as part of her visit to Juba, the capital of South Sudan, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ramdan Mohamed Abdallah Gog, and the Minister of the Interior of South Africa, Angelina Teny. The talks focused on bilateral relations between Algeria and South Sudan and ways of developing them, as well as priority issues for South Sudan, notably in terms of security and development. As you followed in our top stories, in France, voices are raising to criticize the recent campaign of disinformation against Algeria by the far right and to condemn the relentlessness of certain parties against Algerians. Speaking on television, former French Minister Ségolène Royal referred to France's moral debt to Algeria, a debt linked to the crimes committed during colonialism. She recalled that colonization has been atrocious and France got rich at the expense of Algeria. For its part, the left-wing party, La France Insoumise, through its parliamentary group in the French Assembly, strongly criticized French ministers and officials who have recently attacked Algeria. The Franco-Algerian Federation for Consolidation and Renewal expressed its deepest indignation at the political and media campaign directed against Algeria and Algerians. In a statement, it said, quote, "We strongly denounce the irresponsible remarks made by President Emmanuel Macron about Algeria." End of quote. 6 people were killed and several others injured last night in a Zionist bombardment on the Jenin refugee camps in the north of the occupied West Bank. Since the start of the genocidal Zionist aggression on Gaza, at least 831 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank by bullets fired by the Zionist occupation army or settlers. Meanwhile, the third meeting of the International Coalition to Support the Two-State Solution kicked off in Oslo, Norway, with the participation of Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa. The conference witnessed broad international attendance, including Norwegian Prime Minister, UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process Tor Westland, UNRWA Commissioner General Felipe Lazzarini, and representatives from over 80 countries and international organizations. More details with Said Bougazi.
The meeting aims to discuss ways to enhance humanitarian support for Palestinians, particularly amid the dire conditions in Gaza, and to explore possible measures to revive negotiations between Palestinians and Israelis. Participants will also address increasing support for UNRWA, a key provider of essential services to Palestinian refugees. This marks the third session of the Global Coalition for the Implementation of the Two-State Solution, established last September during the UN General Assembly meetings in New York. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa stressed the urgent need for a ceasefire in Gaza and called for unhindered humanitarian aid access. He urged the international community to recognize the state of Palestine, stating recognition of Palestine is a step towards achieving a just and lasting peace. It underscores the importance of the two-state solution along internationally recognized borders and the necessity of respecting security and justice. Mustafa criticized Israeli policies undermining the two-state solution, including settlement expansion and restrictions on international organizations, particularly UNRWA. He condemned recent Israeli legislation targeting UNRWA, stating that such actions jeopardize Palestinian rights, dismantle the two-state framework, and crush hopes for peace. UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini warned of severe consequences from recent Israeli legislation set to curtail UNRWA's operations in Palestinian territories, including East Jerusalem. He highlighted the risks to UNRWA's staff and operations, particularly in Gaza, where restrictions could intensify humanitarian crises. Lazzarini underscored UNRWA's critical role in providing education, healthcare, and other essential services, warning that its collapse would exacerbate suffering and destabilize the region.
You're listening to Radio Algeria International. The Security Council is holding today its monthly public meeting and closed consultations on Yemen under the presidency of Algeria. The United Nations Special Envoy for Yemen, Hans Granenberg, and the Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, Joyce Msuya, will brief the Council in an open session. At the meeting, speakers and some Council members are expected to refer to the ongoing Zionist aggression as a source of further instability for Yemen and the region as a whole, while calling for de-escalation and stressing the need to respect international law, international humanitarian law, and the protection of civilian infrastructure. Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov has said that the solution to the conflict in Western Sahara must be based on the principle of the right to self-determination and the free and sovereign choice of the Sahrawi people. Asia Bekar.
According to the Sahrawi press agency, Lavrov said during a press conference held in Moscow that the search for a solution to the Sahrawi long-standing conflict must be guided by the decisions of the UN Security Council, which stipulates that it must be based on the principle of the right to self-determination and respect to the free and sovereign choice of the Sahrawi people. The Russian diplomacy chief reiterated that the constant position of Russia is fully aligned with that of the UN, which stresses the need to achieve a just, lasting and mutually acceptable political solution which allows the self-determination of the people of Western Sahara. Let's know that the UN considers Western Sahara to be a non-self-governing territory whose final status will be determined by the outcome of the ongoing process. Last October, the UN Security Council extended the mandate of the UN mission for a referendum in Western Sahara MINURSO for 1 year, expressing on the occasion its full support for the personal envoy of the UN Secretary General for Western Sahara, Staffan de Mistura, and his action to advance the political process.
The Minister of Justice, Lotfi Boujma, has received the President of the Constitutional Council of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, Mohamed Bouzid, and the high-level delegation accompanying him at the ministry headquarters. The talks between the two parties focused on the state of bilateral relations between the two countries, particularly in the judicial field, and ways of strengthening them, especially in the area of training for judges and court clerks. Faced with the worst fires in its history, with the death toll reaching 24, the California city of Los Angeles is battling the elements as a matter of urgency, but the American media are sounding the alarm about the upcoming 2028 Olympic Games in the city, which will take place in the middle of California's fire season. Said Bougazi has the details.
The New York Post said that these events represent a threat to the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 2028, adding that the flames keep getting closer to many venues. The SoFi Stadium, which will host the swimming events, is just 30 kilometers from the fires. The Riviera Gold Club, a golf competition site, is only 8 kilometers from the devastated area of Pacific Palisades. The Daily Bruin, UCLA's university newspaper, which is published every Monday, reveals that the university campus, which will be the site of the Olympic and Paralympic Village, has already been evacuated. The Sacramento Bee, the daily newspaper in the Californian capital, has even published an online map of Los Angeles and the potential threats to the Olympic sites. The main wildfire, which is still Palisades Fire, only 14% controlled, is close to the Santa Monica Olympic venues, skateboarding, surfing, beach volleyball, and the legendary Forum Stadium in Inglewood, which will host the gymnastics events.
You're still listening to Radio Algeria International. Former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has been arrested after a dramatic showdown with law enforcement officials. Police and corruption officers on Wednesday scaled the walls of his residential compound, where he had been holed up for nearly 2 weeks, evading arrest after his short-lived declaration of martial law on December 3rd. The Algerian film France Fanon by the Algerian director Abdenour Zahzah won the jury prize at the 14th edition of the Luxor African Film Festival. We invite you to know more about the inspiring figure France Fanon in this broadcast.